there folks, and welcome back to another Game Making Tutorials 101 series video. Your go-to place when you're stuck and need a hand. Today's problem was emailed in by a fellow game developer who asked,
Dear Chris, is there a way I could make my health bar tick down every second? Also, how do you make the GUI draw a heart shape instead of a bar? I want it to tick down, and then need a collectible to fill it up. Thanks, keep up the good work. From a fellow game dev.
Great question, and absolutely yes. Here's what it'll look like when it's all working. As you can see here, as I play my game, you can see every second my health bar is coming down. When it runs out, it drops me back to the beginning. And if I go down here, I've made a little collectible that when you collide with it, it refills it. You can also see how it changes the pitch of the sound depending on how full the health bar is. The lower the health bar, the lower the sound. In this video, we're going to break it down step by step and help you solve that problem. First up, we'll create the heart sprite for our health bar. We'll use sub-images to represent each of those stages as it breaks down. Kind of like an animation with frames, only we're going to use a variable to change them. Here is a sprite that I created. I just made a basic love heart. I created an outline on the first layer. I copied and pasted that onto another layer called fill. And then what I did is I copied the frame over and over again. Each time I just deleted a little bit of that fill. So I just used an eraser and deleted it down. Kept copying and pasting it, deleting a little bit more, deleting it a little bit more, until I had 10 subframes. This is because my health is going to be out of 10. If you would like your health to be out of something more than that, remember you can make this a lot smoother with the more frames that you have. In this example, it starts full and goes empty. But actually it would work better when our sprite subimage was 10, it was full. At the moment, our sprite subimage 0 is full. So what we're going to do is we're going to reverse the animation. And that's really easily done by clicking on Image and going down to the bit that says Reverse Frames. Now, instead, it will look like it builds up to 10. This will work better for how we want to use it. Next, we'll draw the heart in a GUI layer, so it stays fixed on the screen no matter where the player moves. If you want your player to move and you've not got that working, don't forget to check out the other video up here. So start off by making an object. I've called it obj_custom GUI. In here, we need to first off set a variable in a create event. Once here, you need to assign a variable. Now this is going to be a variable that represents the health, but you cannot use the word health as this is already a built-in variable to store, well, you got it, the health. So I've called this one heart, as that's what it represents. I'm also setting the maximum value of this to 10. Again, you can choose the max value here, but remember that it needs to relate to the number of frames that your animation for your custom GUI sprite needs to have. Finally, you need a draw GUI event. Inside this, what we're going to do is we are going to draw the sprite, so choose your heart sprite that you've created, set it to relative 0, 0, and this time we're going to change the frame that will currently say 0 to the variable that we're using instead, called heart. So that refers to the health number that you've created for yours, and will now show the relevant picture of the sprite. Go ahead and press play and see what it does. Now let's make the health tick down every second using an alarm, an event, and a timer. We'll subtract 1 from a variable and update the sprite frame to match. So let's go back to our custom GUI object. What we need to do now is we need to set an alarm to take that variable down, to take the heart down. Click on Create. Now, underneath your assigned variable heart, we need to start the countdown timer. I'm going to use alarm 0 as it's the first one, and I'm going to set the countdown to 60. This is because there are 60 frames in a second. What I'm then going to do is we're going to go back to our custom object GUI, and we're going to create an alarm 0 event. This is a bit like setting a countdown timer on your phone, and when it runs out of time, the alarm goes off. The alarm 0 event is exactly that, when your alarm goes off. So inside here, what we're then going to do is we are going to -1 relative off our heart variable. We are then going to reset the countdown. This is so that you end up in an infinite loop, so it constantly counts down. Press play, check out your game. There is one sneaky little error at the end that means it won't work quite properly. Let's see if you can spot it. Next, we'll handle what happens when health hits 0. Maybe it's game over screen, or the player just resets. In this case, we're going to make the player reset. Great, hopefully you spotted it. It counted down second by second and seemed to work fine. Until it got, probably after about 10 seconds, you started noticing it started speeding up and it kept looping round. Now this was because your variable heart got to, you get it, -1. So underneath your set alarm countdown, you need an if variable. And what we're going to ask here is, we're going to say if the variable heart is equal to 0, and then what you're going to do is you're going to drag in the action jump to start, but make sure that this jumps onto the right hand side of the if. If you don't, it won't work. Now we don't want the heads up display to jump to the beginning. What we actually want is we want our player to jump to the beginning. So make sure here that you set it to the object for your player. Now you should see it here with some grey text to remind you that you've done it. Finally, underneath that, you then need to remember to reset your heart value back to 10 so that you don't again end up in this infinite loop. And finally, we'll add collectibles. When picked up, they'll increase the health value and update the sprite on the GUI. So I've created a small collectible sprite. I have created an object for the collectible, and I've put those into the room. What you then need to do is focus on the collision with the player. So we're going to go to the player and add a collision with the object collectible. Now I've added some polishing parts here. I've made it play an audio file that changes the pitch because it takes the object custom GUI.heart variable, divides that by 10 to change the pitch depending on the actual value of heart. But the important part that you're going to need to do is this bit here where it says assign variable. And what we need to do is we need to assign the obj underscore custom GUI.heart, the variable that's on the correct object, back to 10. So this will reset it. Now, you could set it relative. However, if you did that, then you would set the subframe to say 12 or 13 if you added 10 onto what was ever was there. So really, then you would need to consider what happens if it goes over 10 and what sprite did you want it to show. So for now, you can do that if you wish, but I've just made it so it resets it back to 10. I also added in another bit of polishing to draw an effect on there. You don't really need that, but it's a nice effect. And lastly, the bit that you do need is you need to make it destroy the instance. Now again, it's really important on here, we don't want to destroy the instance of our player, but we click on here and make sure that we selected other, so that it destroys the thing that we're colliding with as opposed to ourselves. So the bits that you definitely need are the assign variable and the destroy instance. The other two bits are nice little options. And that's it. A fully working heart-shaped health bar that ticks down every second and refills with collectibles. If this helped, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and share it with somebody else who might be stuck too. Got a GameMaker problem of your own? Reach out. email it in to gamemakingtutorials101@gmail.com and it might just feature in the next SOS feature video. Until next time, keep creating and I'll see you in the next one.